your grace. Adum, Adum, Wadum. I've been through a lot, but grace sustained me.
Yes, indeed. We have been through a lot, but the grace has sustained us.
Now a testimony.
Our test has become a testimony
So
to
the
the world.
essence of my praise,
The essence of our
centered on
praise
your grace.
is centered on the grace of God.
Adum,
Just the grace of God.
it was you, my lawyer in that courtroom.
Jesus is our lawyer in the
It
courtroom.
was you, my soldier on that
He is the soldier
battlefield.
on the battlefield.
So the essence of my
The
praise
essence of our praise
is centered
is
on
to
your
rely
grace.
on Him, to be
Adum,
loyal on Him,
Adum,
obedient to His commandment and His status,
hey,
and His grace gonna be sufficient for us. Hallelujah.
Adum, Adum, Ntina Metiasi.
Eya adumo.
Lord, the essence of my praise.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Father, we thank you and we bless you at this hour. Today, we got an important personality in our mix, in the person of Delphine. He gonna talk a lot of things. I'm gonna ask her a lot of questions, and I believe that most of the questions she's gonna answer. But before that, we need to bring everything to the presence of God. Father, we thank you and we honor you this day, that you're gonna open our understanding mind to discuss all that we gonna discuss here, and at the end of it all, your name gonna be praised. We give you glory and we give you honor, King Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Amen.
Mrs. Delphine, thank you for coming to Resurrection Power TV Radio. And today I know I'm gonna ask a lot of questions, and you're gonna give me more answers. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So, my first question to Mrs. Delphine: whom do you work for? Also, thank you for coming to Resurrection Power TV Radio. When I invited you, you responded. So, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, Miss Delphine, whom do you work for?
Thank you so much, Pastor Emmanuel. Thank you to whoever is listening to me this afternoon. It's a Sunday. It's a blessed day. We are blessed to be here. I am blessed to be here because today is the day of the Lord. So my name is Delphine Munji, and I am a financial professional. And I'm here today to just enlighten us about a few things in our community. By the way, I'm an African. I come from Cameroon. That's my country. And I've been living in this country for a few years. So I work for so many companies. I have the opportunity to leverage from so many very credible companies that we don't know about. We probably know about them. A lot of people know about them. As I go along, we're going to find out who these companies are, but we just don't know what they do and what they offer to the public. So I'm just here, like I said, it's just financial education, and let's see how this goes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Delphine, to elaborate us. And my next question is, what are we doing wrong in our community when it comes to financial? What are we doing wrong?
Awesome. I like that question because, and by the way, you know, I am licensed in the state of Texas to give this information out, so it's nothing new. This is very valid information, and if I say anything here that is not correct, or nobody think that I'm here to scam anybody. This is very credible information, licensed by the state of Texas, and I hold a license to do this. So what are we doing wrong? And I'm gonna first start by saying that we are doing something wrong. That's why we are ending up always needing more money all the time. We are ending up poor, but we're working very hard. We are very hardworking people. I'm talking about us, our African community. We work very hard. One of the most hardworking people in this country. But for some reason, we are working very hard, but our hard work is not helping us grow when it comes to our finances. So what are we doing wrong? Pretty much, the first rule of money as a financial professional, what I've learned is that wherever you are keeping your money, you should never lose money. So, are we keeping our money in a place that we are not losing money? That is the question here. So, as I go along, I'm going to tell us where these accounts are, what they do for us, why we are losing money, where we are losing money. And like I said, if you are using one of the accounts I'm going to name here, and I explain how it's losing money, I hope you're going to learn something from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Delphine. And my next question is, can you give us some of the examples of what account that we are losing when we come to our community, like especially Africa community?
Awesome. Like I said, the first rule of money, make money but never lose money. Do you know what the second rule of money is? Never forget the first rule, which means the first rule is really, really important. Never lose money. And so we are doing so many things wrong. We are putting our money in accounts that we are paying management fees. We are putting our money in accounts that are high in inflation. We are putting our money in accounts that we are paying a lot of taxes and also compound interest. We are losing a lot on that. Also, the fact that when we fall sick, most of the time, we lose everything that we've worked so hard for. I'm not sure if I answer your question, Pastor.
Yeah.
Direct me.
You are right.
Okay.
Can you elaborate it on it a little bit further?
Okay. So, I'm going to pick something like inflation, right? We see that in the community in which, the country in which we live right now, and just like all over the world, prices of everything is going up. For example, here in America, we used to go to the dollar store and everything was $1 worth. But today, what is it? It's $1.25. Does it mean that the value of the goods have increased? Most of the time, not the same. The same water that we bought from dollar store 2 years ago, that was in the same bottle, they did not increase the bottle, is now worth more than what we used to pay in, before. So the average rate of inflation in the country right now is about 3%. So my question is, where are we keeping our money? Are we keeping our money in a place that is making up to 3% as well, so we can beat that inflation? The answer is no. What do we see in our typical African community? We have accounts that are only giving us 0.01%. 1%, for example. And what is that kind of account? For example, our checking account, wherever you're keeping your money. That money is only growing at 0.01%, but you are going to the store and you're buying, using that same money that is not growing for you, and you're buying goods that are growing at double the rate of inflation. Another example I'm going to give is housing. Our houses, pretty much everything is going up. Does it mean that they have increased the value of the house? Did they add an extra bathroom? Did they add painting on the wall? Usually no. But what is it? We're paying more and more rents because, and they will tell you, I used to live in an apartment, and I remember my first year my rents went up, and I went to the apartment building and I was like, the rents went up and I'm not going to be able to pay these rents. They say, sorry honey, the rents will always go up every year. So if I started at $1,500, what is it going to be in 5 years? I'm probably going to be paying like $2,000 for the same room that nothing has changed. Now when I go to my job and I look at how much they pay me, did they give me a raise to meet up with the rate of inflation? No, of course, right? Most often, if they want to give you a raise, sometimes it's like 0.1%. But what is the rate of the rent? It has gone up by 3%. So that's how we start losing money if we're not putting our money in places that are giving us more value so we could fight the rate of inflation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I also want to elaborate a little bit about our insurance. When it comes to car insurance, mortgage, all kind of insurance, because sometimes you can be paying insurance. The month that you forget your insurance, something will happen to you. Other car insurance or your house or something terrible will happen, and you have to get huge amount of money from your account to settle it. How do we understand, especially Africa community, is eating us, is eating us.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about it so that we will know what to do.
Thank you so much, Pastor Emmanuel. Before we jump into that topic of insurance, I want to still throw a little bit more light on the fact that we also have something called compound interest, right? We're gonna all get to the same point.
Yep.
But I want to throw a little bit more light on compound interest. The fact that, I remember back in elementary school, they taught us about simple interest and compound interest. How can you grow money based on simple interest and compound interest? And our simple interest, basically your money is only adding up very little. But our compound interest, our money is doubling a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, let's take, for example, I'm going to use a mortgage again. When we buy a home, that home is worth 250,000, for example.
So, some are even more than that.
Some are a lot more than that. And you paying for that home for 5 years. You've paid the principal, and you come back and you call this company and you say, how much is my balance? You're owing, remember we started at 250. Now you're owing 255. You know why? Your mortgage is compounding faster than you are paying for it. So
wow.
In that case, you could have paid for 20 years. They'll tell you it's a 30-year loan. If you don't put in extra, you are losing money because that loan is going to take you so long, longer than you thought to pay it, because the loan is compounding. And so my question is, where are you keeping your money? Are you keeping your money in a place that is also compounding? We don't know about that, right? We're going to go back to our traditional checking and savings account. That's where we're dumping all our hard-earned money. How much is that money giving to us? Very, very little. We get pennies out of it. Because you know what? The banks are only giving us very tiny returns. But our properties, our cars, everything is compounding at a higher rate. So we are losing money. So now, he went ahead and talked about life insurance, and I'm going to go ahead and just dive into that. But before I dive into that, I'm also going to explain a situation why also do we also get poor. One of the reasons that we get poor is because of illness. Pastor, today you and I were still healthy. The only reason you and I are still sitting here talking is because we have good health.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a job. That's why we're able to wash up, clean up, sit up here and look the way we're looking. So take a typical scenario where we are not able to work and we don't have an income. When we fall sick, that's when poverty starts. The fact that we are not able to go back to work,
mm-hmm.
automatically we become poor, because illness is the number one cause of poverty in our community. The number of people that are falling sick due to hypertension, cancer, stroke, heart failure, and all these diseases, it's alarming. And so each time one of us falls down sick, that is a chain of poverty that has started in our community. Because that person, imagine, I am the breadwinner for my family. I provide for my kids. So I'm going to take an example for me. God forbid I'm not going to fall sick. But what if I fall sick? That means my son is going to go hungry. My daughter's going to go hungry. Whoever is depending on me is going to go hungry. And I am going to go hungry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do the bills stop coming when we fall sick? Of course, no. I'm still going to have to pay that mortgage. I'm still going to have to pay the car note. So where do I get the money? You think that your bank is going to say, your mortgage company is going to say, oh, Delphine, I'm so sorry you're sick. Can we just hold off your mortgage for the next year until you get well? The answer is no. No.
Exactly.
They expect you to still pay. The bill's still coming. Go to your mailbox. It's going to be full with bills. But is the money coming in? No. So when we rely on our jobs as our only source of income, we are putting ourselves to the point where if something happens, we become poor. Now my question is, and I'm going to ask this to everyone, is falling sick a matter of if or a matter of when? The answer is a matter of when. We don't know when, right?
We don't know.
But for sure, someday, somehow, nobody is being cursed or anything. But it's a natural process. Whether we believe in God or whatever, sickness comes. And so when sickness comes, are we ready for it? Are we ready to face all this? That is really why we end up poor, because when we fall sick, we become beggars. You see, GoFundMe is being created in the community to help a sister or a brother who has fallen sick because we did not put our money in the right place. I know everybody is curious, like, so what are you talking about, right? What is the right place? You had mentioned life insurance, and that's where I'm going to land. We are not aware when we come to this country. I've been here for 12 years, and I just recently found out that a lot of the folks in this country, a lot of the elites, the 5% of the people who accumulate a lot of wealth are keeping that money into life insurance. And so, why is that? Because there are different types of life insurance. And I know people are thinking now that, oh, my life insurance company didn't tell me any of this. Of course, it depends on what you have. It depends if you have the right type. Do we have the right type? That's why I'm here. If we do not have the right type that protects us, that comes with all these compounding effects, that grows money for you. Did you ever know that you could take money out of life insurance, Pastor?
I didn't know.
So
I have no clue.
I have good news that today we could use our life insurance bucket to be able to save money that avoids taxes, that avoids inflation rates, because the money in that policy is growing at up to 8%. Some grow as much as 5%.
Wow.
So if you want to balance up that inflation that I talked about, that was growing at 3%, don't you think that you should put your money in a place that is growing at up to 5% or 8%? So if you lose 3% to inflation, you still have to keep 2% to yourself in the case where you're keeping, if your money is growing at 5%. So I have good news just to say that life insurance is a very wonderful tool, and that has to be the right type, not just any kind. I'm going to talk about the different types as we go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my sister. This is something that we need to listen, especially African community. And the next question that I want to ask Mrs. Delphine is that, especially when somebody say that you have to buy insurance, we African community will think that the person wants us to die. Say, do you want me to die soon? Why am I going to buy life insurance? And this is something that is bothering us. So I want you to elaborate on it, about life insurance, how you die, and the burden become heavy on your maybe your sons and daughters, and then your relatives, your wives, or your husband. It becomes tough for us, and sometimes we need to get donation from others to support the funeral, and that shouldn't be in that way at all. So I want you to talk about it.
Awesome. So, like Pastor said, and I've done this for a while, I've seen it on the field. When you talk about life insurance, people think that, oh, you want to die. I actually have a family that I walk into, and the husband refused because he didn't want to die. And I say, we got it all wrong.
It's a big problem.
We come from a culture, we come from a background, we come from countries where life insurance is not the backbone of the country. In this country where we live today, I'm going to tell you, my brothers and sisters, it is governed by life insurance. And how is that? When you go to a dealership and you want a car, and they approve you for that car, what is the first thing that they want you to put on that car? Life insurance. When you want to buy a house, what does the mortgage company, before they give you that loan of $250,000 that we talked about, what is the first thing they want? They want insurance on that house. Isn't that true? So, your car and your home, which one is important? Is your car more important than you? No. I have people who, they pay this car insurance every year and nothing happens to the car. And they keep paying every year. Well, I have good news for all of us today. You don't even have to pay your life insurance for the rest of the life that you have. But you have to pay car insurance on the rest of the life of every car that you're going to drive. Because they expect you. But because nobody puts that expectations on our lives, we think that we can skip it, we can push it and say, oh, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it when I get old, when it's about time for me to need it. Life insurance is not for the dead. It is for the living. That's the good news I have for you guys today.
That's
because
right.
the kind of life insurance I'm talking to you is not the traditional one that we see on the streets. It's another kind. The one that gives you money when you are sick. Think about it. I said the number one cause of poverty in our community is illness. And so how about the day you fall sick and the doctor says, Delphine, you've been diagnosed with cancer. That is a terminal illness. This life insurance policy would pay me up to 90% of whatever the face amount I had bought. For example, if I had bought a policy that is worth $250,000, I would get a check of up to 100% of that money, which means I can take that money and take care of myself. Think about it. While I'm sitting at home worried about cancer, what is going through my head? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How about I pay off that mortgage with the money I got from the life insurance? How about I pay off that car? How about I pay off tuition for my children? So it's not that I wish that cancer should come to me, but now I don't know, for some reason it came to me. Something good brought something bad brought something good to my life. If that was not the case, I would end up a beggar. My kids will end up beggars. They'll end up homeless because we do not have a place to live in. We would go to one family and another to get money. There's also one thing in this country. A lot of people say, you know what? I have insurance at work. Very good. I love those good class of people. Because you know what? Some other people, even at work, they'll say, I don't need the life insurance at work. Take it off, because they think that they want to take home all the money they make from the job. And they don't want to contribute to that account. So, what happens? When you leave that job, most often, 90% of the time, that insurance is gone. It's only there because you have that job. And so, let's consider a situation of somebody who works for an employer for 10 years, 20 years. You joined the company when you were 30. You worked for them for 20 years. You were covered by insurance. And so what happens? The day you leave that work, now you're 40 years old. You think that insurance will be cheaper when you're 40 or when you started at 20? So when you leave that job, you leave the insurance there. And when you go out there to shop for insurance, it's going to be way expensive. A lot of people don't even want to do it when they are 40. They still think they are so young, they are all handsome and beautiful, and everything is going rosy.
It's true.
But they do not realize that as you're getting older, blood pressure is creeping in.
Exactly.
Diabetes is creeping in. Very soon, arthritis. You cannot climb those stairs like you used to before. You start having all these little things because your body starts wearing out. It's normal. We're going to fall sick someday. So what happens? If we do not put in place something, if we do not put our money in accounts For example, life insurance accounts that are growing at a very high interest rate. So we are able to make money. And that's another chapter. The fact that we could make money in our life insurance account, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Then we are not planning on anything. We don't have a plan. And so they say failing to plan is planning to lose. If you do not have a plan for tomorrow, then you're going to end up at the mercy of other people. We end up pushing these responsibilities to our brothers and sisters, and we expect them to help us when we are down. How about you start today? As little as $35, as little as $100. How many people have $100 to spare? To buy extra shoes, to buy extra things that we don't need, toys for kids that we don't need. We do $1 million baby plans. Those are one of the things that we do.
Exactly.
So when a child is born, from day one, you want to protect that child's life. Not because the child is going to die. It's not about dying. That money, by the time that child is 18, you could have had enough money in there that you could take out and you pay for college for that child. Do you know what that solves in our community? Debts, student loans. Mother took student loans, father took student loans. The children all end up in student loans because we failed to plan. We're going to start planning. And today I am here to bring you a plan which is under the umbrella of life insurance that provides safety, protection, security for those days, even for nothing. Some people have been able to cash out money. Did you ever know you could take out money from your life insurance plan, Pastor?
I have, no.
This is the second time I'm asking you that question.
I didn't know that. I thought that, some of the life insurance that we receive, the question that is, no, you can't take money from A, or if you take money from A, you're gonna pay interest on it. So it make it difficult for people even to start doing life insurance or register for any life insurance, because they think that when I take money from A, I'm going to pay interest on it, so they don't even want to go in at all.
Nope. The answer is no. These accounts grow tax free. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't know about you, but they grow tax free. Zero in taxes. They are protected by the IRS. You can put as much money as you want to put in it, and like I said, for a limited amount of time. For example, I meet a young guy who is 25, has a new job, a good job, and when I educate them to start up a plan like this, I set it up for maybe 20, 30 years. After 30 years, by then probably they are 55, they are done contributing. They are still working, but they are done contributing. But these accounts continue to grow for the rest of their life. Whatever the rest of your life is. For those people who are going to live longer, over the age of 100, yes, you are still protected. For those people who are going to be cut short at some point, yes, you are protected.
The maximum is 70. After 70 is just the grace.
So, in that case, for the rest 20 years, you don't put a dime in it. And when I say this money compounds, my brother, you need to see how much money you could make out of those policies. And so, did you ever know that banks were keeping money in life insurance?
No.
Did you ever know that Starbucks has an account in life insurance?
I have no clue.
That makes me scared. Sometimes I feel like, are we drinking blood? Is it somebody's blood in coffee that we're drinking if they have to have life insurance? But the answer is that these companies, they have figured out that there's a lot of protection, there's a lot of security when they put their money in accounts that are safe. These accounts are life insurance accounts. And like I said, not just any kind of life insurance, the right type. The right type. I have a book here with me. This book is called Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. It's a very good one to read if you want to see where all this information is coming from. I did not make up this information. I didn't just get up one day and formed it and started going around talking about it. You would find here that Bank of America has so much assets in life insurance. And so what's happening out there? while I work so hard at my job and they deposit that money in my checking account, these companies take that money and they invest it in this account, and they make up to 8%, sometimes up to 12% gains on that money. And how much do they give me?
Wow.
0.01%.
My
so you
goodness.
see how they keep continuing making money, and we are using them as a middleman. We got to learn to stop to use the middleman. I'm not saying you don't keep your money in the bank. Always keep enough that is enough to take care of you, but put something in a bucket that provides you safety and protection, cash accumulation, growth, and flexibility. People don't know that you could actually call one of these companies that I work for and tell them that I want to take out money from my life insurance, and the question they're going to ask you is, do you want to take it out as a loan or as a withdrawal? If you take it out as a loan, you are loaning that money from yourself. It's like you're eating your cake and having it.
Wow.
So while we go loan from the bank, what does the bank do? The bank gives you, even though the bank is keeping your money and giving you only 0.01%, when you take a loan from them, do they give you 0.01 interest rate? No.
No.
Your interest rate is higher than what they give you in returns. So if we continue doing exactly what we have been doing for over these years, and we don't start changing what we are doing and follow what the elites of this country are doing, the 5% of the people who have gained financial information, have understood it, have known how to, put their money where taxes are lower, where inflation is lower, we would always end up poor. Our children will always end up poor. How about we turn around, make a U-turn, start from today, build generational wealth that we can pass on to our children. Because the day that something happens and we get that check from that company, for example, I mentioned a policy that is worth $250,000. From the day I pay in my first premium, God forbid, if something happens to you, you are paid $250,000. When I say God forbid, I mean if God calls me to come back and meet him, they would pay that to my family. I know nobody wants to talk about
that. That is wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. I know nobody wants to talk about death, but also the fact that even if you don't die, if I fall sick with a critical illness, with a chronic illness, or a terminal illness like cancer I talked about, they pay me a good portion of that $250,000, and I take care of myself. So my question now is, when you pay your car insurance and you don't make no accidents, do you get your money back?
No.
Because I meet a lot of people who say, oh, I don't want to pay life insurance because they're not going to give my money back. And I ask them, but you pay car insurance every day, you pay mortgage insurance. Do you get your money back when your house doesn't burn down in that year?
No.
The answer is no. My brothers and sisters, it's time for us to start changing our mentality. Look at our lives as the most important thing in the whole circle of everything that we own. Your life is the most important thing. Protect your life. Protect your children. Protect your loved ones. So that if there's a cry in the community, let's go celebrate knowing that somebody lived a good life. They took care of themselves in a proper way, instead of dying a beggar. Because what do? We resort to a GoFundMe. I have a very good story to share with you guys. I have a very good friend. Used to be a nurse practitioner in the state of New York. Had a very good job, was working very hard like you and I, but did not do anything in line of what I just talked about today. Kept her money in a savings account, and also she was more doing what we call susu onjangi, where everybody contributes money and give it to this person this month, and then next month everybody
They give it to another person.
I think they call it susu in some countries.
Yeah.
They call it so many things in other countries.
Yeah, Africa we call it susu.
That was her own financial security that she had on her life. And so, what happened to her? Got up one day, went to see her doctor for a physical, and what did they find? They found a lump in her breast. So,
my God.
When they finally did scans, they found out that it was spreading very fast, so they had to put her on chemo. What is the first thing that happens when that happens? That's an aggressive treatment. The first thing is that you have to stop working. Right.
Exactly.
When you stop working, now you're left with just whatever you had saved, right? She was left with that. And then, what happened next? She activated her short-term disability. That short-term disability lasted for 3 months. Then she went on to long-term disability. It lasted 6 months. Chemotherapy continued after that period. You know what the job did? The job said, you know what, Mary, I'm so sorry. You're sick. We pray you get well soon. We hope you can come back. But we're very sorry, we're going to let you go. They let her go. At the lowest of her life. The time when she needed help most. So what happened? You know the chemotherapy she was going was covered by her insurance at work. What happens when you lose that job? You lose the health insurance as well. She lost that insurance, which means she could not continue going for chemo because now her job that she lost will not cover the chemo. And of course, you know what it means to do private pay. It's very expensive.
Very, very expensive.
I doubt if anybody can just afford one of those scans that they do every now and then to see if the cancer has spread. So she had to go down to the social worker's office in downtown New York to go apply for benefits. When she went there, the social workers, they take your number and they say, you know what, we're gonna see if you qualify. And she got a call 2 days later, and the social worker said, Mary, I'm so sorry you did not qualify. The money,
my God,
that you have has to be spent before you can qualify for these benefits. And she was like, what do you mean the money? She said, Mary, you still have $5,000 in your savings account, and we see that you have a house. That house is worth $250,000. You have to go sell that house and bring whatever you have left, if you still have mortgage on it, so that we can use the money for your treatment. And she was like, sell my house? They say yes. So they said, oh, we see you are driving a Lexus car. You have to sell that car. Before,
my God.
Which the whole point is that you have to be poor to qualify for these benefits. So she ended up being in a situation where either she goes and sells everything that she has. They call it spend down in this country. You have to spend down everything you have. You have to be worth $2,000 before you will qualify for those benefits that the government gives. So if that was you, you don't have a job, you've lost your insurance that was paying your health insurance, that was paying for your chemo. Just the trauma of worrying how to fix this problem, that is what killed my friend. She eventually passed because she was not able to go back to chemo. She was not able to meet up with her treatment, and just the trauma. Before even passing, she had to move out of her house and go live with her friend in her friend's basement. Her children could not go back to school. You know why? Because she did not do the right thing. You know, she did the right thing. Of course, she was playing susu, but that money is not protected. When I talk about protection, a lot of us don't know that the day we drop down there like Mary did, and the nurse at the hospital makes that call and says, that 100 number that we dial, and we say, you know, this person is dead, that social security gets pulled, and everything you have in your account is frozen. Every asset you have, be it 401k, be it real estate, everything you have is frozen until they pay your estate. And the question here is that, does anybody have an estate? Of course, no. You only have an estate when you pass. Your bills are called your estate, which means they have to settle all your bills. Let's say your mortgage, they will pay. Bank of America will say, he was owing me $10,000. The most traumatizing thing is the fact that that court system that helps to settle your estate when you pass, it takes sometimes almost a year. So imagine you stockpiling all your money in your checking and savings account, and those accounts are frozen until the day the court is gonna decide. Like I said, there's a long line of people waiting before you. You are just only coming this year. They are still working on cases of 2018. You might have to wait a very long time before the court system settles your estate and gives you a balance of what is left in your account. For most people, there's nothing left because our debt is more than our income that is sitting in our account. So our life insurance accounts are protected from this court system. If she had a life insurance policy, she would have cashed out that money and started taking care of her bills while they are taking care of her estate on the other side, which is pretty much her bills, right?
Yes.
So if we don't plan right, we're gonna end up in difficult situations like this. I have another story, and this is where I'm gonna end. I have another story of a guy named Scott. Scott did everything right. He only earned $50,000, but he put his money in a bucket that had more protection than my friend Mary, who was making $250,000 but was relying on a susu and a checking account. So what did Scott do differently? Even though he was earning just $50,000, he was able to pay for his policy, his life insurance policy, that was very little, but he was making those payments. One day, Scott was going for a walk, and he fell down, had a heart attack. So they took him to the hospital. He stayed in the hospital for a good amount of time. He was diagnosed with a critical illness. His life insurance policy, once the doctor writes that diagnosis that you have a critical, chronic, or terminal illness, they pay you the portion that they agreed to pay you out of your life insurance money. Scott received a check of $350,000, which he used to pay off his mortgage, to pay off his car, and to live a comfortable life while he was healing from that episode of heart attack. So you see how two people, one person makes more money but lacks financial education, and another person who makes very little, 1/3 of what the other person is making, but has financial education. We could end up in two different situations. The last thing you don't want to be remembered in this world is to be remembered a beggar. Because when we start begging because we did not do the right thing.
I want you to stress a little bit about begging. When you talk about begging, what do you mean by begging?
When I talk about begging, you see all these GoFundMes that we go around creating to help our brother who just fell sick, our sister who just fell sick. That is, to me, that is a polite way of begging. But like I always tell people, if you cannot keep $50 for yourself, what makes you think that I can give you my $100 when you fall sick? If you cannot help yourself, nobody can help you. It is up to you to take care of yourself and not expect your friends and families to take care of you, because they have their own burden. So if every one of us in our African community can start using the right tools, the right instruments, keeping our money in places that make money, that gives us protection and safety, we will slowly eradicate the cycle of poverty that goes around in our community. So, with that said, that's it. One other thing that we do, and this is going to be the last thing as we round up, is we help people who have money sitting in 401k. You know how you work at a job and you left that job and you never bothered to find out what happened to that 401k? We have a solution, because we help people create annuities. Annuities, just like life insurance, have a lot of protection, grows in a compounding way, which means that if you pull that $10,000 that was sitting in that old 401k and create an annuity with that $10,000, that money sits for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, that money would have compounded almost 6 times more than what you invested. So let's not be foolish. Some of us we are careless. You ask people, when was the last time you checked your 401k account? They don't even know what company they are contributing to.
Mm-hmm.
They have never looked at it. Some know. The one thing I want to tell you about your 401k account is a variable account. You are losing money because it's set up in the market. When the market goes down, you lose money. When the market goes up, you lose money. How about we take that money for you? If it's sitting somewhere and you're not using it, we can take it and put it in accounts that are only gonna grow for you. You're never gonna lose a dime out of your hard-earned money, so that by the time you get to retirement, you have accumulated so much money that you could retire on. Because if we keep relying on the 401k, there's no guarantee that we're really gonna grow money. Of course we are growing money, but again we are losing money. Where did we start this conversation? Rule number 1, never lose money. If you are keeping money in a place that you are losing money, you're never going to be able to grow money. So, I don't know if you have any questions more for me, Pastor, at this point.
I think you have said it all. You have said it all. I wish we have a lot of people in this studio so that they can ask more questions. To my understanding, you have answered all my questions, and you have also elaborated a lot about our system, especially the Africa community. When you talk about financial growth or financial education or insurance, sometimes we find it difficult to understand it. You have said it all, but my question for you, do you have a last word for us before we leave? We want a last word from you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. My last word to us all is for us to start doing what the others in this country are doing. I know a lot of people think that, you know what, I'm going to retire in Africa. I'm building a house right now in Africa. But the truth is that we don't know when we're going to go. We always think that we're going to make it. We don't know the plan for tomorrow. We could step out of your driveway today, and that could be the end of you. So if that was you, you do not make it to Africa, what happens to you while you are still here? Before we go to Africa, while we are waiting to go to Africa, let us start doing something here that protects us for the time that we are here. Let us not rely on accounts that give us no value. Because, for example, when you buy a term policy, it's only temporary. It only covers you for as long as you bought it. We go to church and we pray to the pastor, please, pastor, give me long life. But you come out there and you buy a policy that only covers your life for 30 years. By the time you are 60 years old, that policy has, that contract that you signed with that company has expired. And now you are left on your own. And so you think that the taxes today, the policies today are cheaper today, or they're going to be cheaper tomorrow. Of course, everything is going to be expensive tomorrow, because you remember what we said, the prices of things continue to go up. So the time is now, not tomorrow. Not I'm gonna think about it. While you're thinking about it, you're losing money. Each day that you're not doing something, each day that you're not putting your money in an account that is giving you protection, an account that is compounding your money so that you can make more returns, you are losing money. So it doesn't matter. Be it a child, be it a mother, a brother, a sister, we have products that could fit everyone's shoes. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be small. I mean, it doesn't have to be too big. As small as it is, it's better than nothing. Because when we have nothing, then we have put our life in the hands of fate. Your neighbor is going to decide what's going to happen to your life. Your neighbor might not be the most caring person to you when you were alive. What do you think that they are the ones who are going to care about you when you are in trouble? Trouble means you could be sick. That neighbor might not even bring you food to eat. So when we don't do anything, that's what we're doing. We're pushing that responsibility to the people who don't care about you as much as you care for yourself. The first person that cares about you is you. So take action today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Devin, for liberating us on such a wonderful financial education and also talking about life insurance, especially the Africa community. When somebody dies, it's there that we start doing donation, $50, $100, $200 to support the person funeral. Thank you so much for coming to Resurrection Power TV Radio to give us such an important information. We do really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ms. Devin. Thank you.
Thank you so
We are just blessing the Lord for what He has done for us. For such an Men and women of God, I salute you all for tuning to Resurrection Power TV Radio. And this is your host, Pastor Shepherd. We're going to meet again at the same time next week. Glory to God. Bye-bye.